If I told you that the fastest way to shift your mood, sharpen your focus, and elevate your energy was something you're doing right now, but doing it wrong, you'd probably be curious, and you should be. Because today, we're diving into the science of breathing, one of the most overlooked, yet most powerful tools you have for controlling your mental and physical state. Your breath is not just air moving in and out. It's a direct line into your nervous system. Change the breath and you change the brain. On this channel, we break down the mechanisms behind focus, calm, and performance, tools you can use immediately, grounded in real biology. Today's session will show you how proper breathing boosts clarity, stabilizes your energy, and helps you regulate stress in seconds. Welcome to a space where science meets real life impact. Let's get into it. Breathing is one of the few biological systems we can both control consciously and that also operates subconsciously, and that makes it one of the most powerful tools for shifting our internal state in real time. When we adjust how long we inhale and how long we exhale, we're not just changing airflow. We're sending direct signals to the brain centers that regulate stress, alertness, and emotional balance. Think of it as having a built-in lever that can move you toward calm or toward heightened focus depending on what the moment requires. Most people go through life assuming that their state of mind is dictated by circumstance. But the truth is that the nervous system is listening to your breath more than it listens to your thoughts. Your breathing patterns are constantly communicating with your brain about whether you are safe, threatened, tired, or ready to act. When your inhale is longer or more forceful than your exhale, it triggers neural pathways that increase alertness. These circuits activate the same systems that elevate heart rate, sharpen attention, and prepare you to respond quickly. This is why you naturally inhale sharply when you're startled. The body is trying to prepare you. But you don't need an external stimulus to create that state. You can generate alertness by intentionally increasing the depth or duration of your inhales. For someone who feels foggy in the morning or who needs to transition into a high-focus task, this simple shift in breathing acts as a clean, powerful way to elevate cognitive readiness without stimulants. On the other side of this spectrum is the exhale. When the exhale is longer than the inhale, the body engages calming pathways associated with the parasympathetic nervous system. These pathways work almost like a brake, slowing the heart rate and decreasing internal agitation. It's why sighing, even involuntarily, makes us feel better. The body is naturally trying to downregulate. If you deliberately lengthen your exhale, you can steer your mind toward a calmer state, even in moments of stress or emotional turbulence. That's an incredibly valuable tool because it means that stress doesn't have to run its full course. You can intervene, interrupt, and redirect your physiology simply through breath. The beauty of this system is its speed. Most tools for managing mood or performance require minutes or longer to create noticeable change. Breathing works within seconds because it feeds directly into the autonomic nervous system. The signals don't have to pass through layers of cognition or interpretation. They go straight to the centers of the brain that regulate internal state, making breath the most efficient mechanism we have for self-regulation. This is not speculation, it's hardwired physiology. Your breath is a steering wheel for your mind and body, and once you understand how to use it, you gain access to a level of control that most people never tap into. Master your breath, and you master your state. Breathing through the nose is one of the simplest yet most transformative shifts you can make in how your brain and body function throughout the day. Most people default to mouth breathing without realizing how dramatically it affects their energy levels, cognitive performance, and even their mood. When you breathe through the nose, the airflow is slowed, filtered, and conditioned before it reaches the lungs. This slower, more deliberate pathway increases oxygen absorption and allows the body to extract far more usable oxygen from each breath. Oxygen is the fundamental fuel for the brain, So even a small improvement in how efficiently you deliver it can create noticeable changes in clarity, reaction time, and overall mental sharpness. But oxygen is only part of the story. When air passes through the nasal cavity, the body releases a molecule called nitric oxide. It's produced in small but meaningful amounts, and its role is incredibly important. Nitric oxide helps dilate blood vessels, which means it increases blood flow to the brain and working muscles. More blood flow means more oxygen delivery, more nutrients, and more efficient energy production at a cellular level. The result is a brain that feels awake and stable, and a body that can maintain physical output without fatiguing as quickly. This is why nasal breathing is such a powerful tool for people who want sustained energy across long work periods or better endurance during physical exertion. There's also a neurological component to nasal breathing that often gets overlooked. The nerves that line the nasal passages connect directly to brain areas involved in attention and emotional regulation. When you breathe through the nose, you stimulate pathways that keep the mind grounded, present, and more resistant to distraction. It's why even a few minutes of nasal breathing can shift you from feeling scattered to feeling centered. Throughout the day, especially during moments of stress or mental fatigue, returning to nasal breathing acts like a reset button for your cognitive state. What's fascinating is how quickly the body responds to this shift. If someone transitions from mouth breathing to nasal breathing, even for a short period, they often notice a difference in how steady their energy feels. There's less of that jittery up and down pattern that comes from sympathetic overactivation. Instead, there's a smoother baseline, one that supports deep thinking, creativity, and sustained focus. This makes nasal breathing a powerful performance tool, whether you're trying to concentrate on work, stay composed in a challenging situation, or push through physical training with greater efficiency. All of this happens without equipment, without complicated techniques, without time investment. It happens simply by closing the mouth and allowing the body to operate the way it was designed to. Nasal breathing is not a trend or a trick. It's a fundamental biological mechanism that most people have forgotten to use. And when you reclaim it, you reclaim a level of steadiness and mental sharpness that feels almost like unlocking an upgraded version of yourself. Your nose is your built-in pathway to clarity and sustained energy. Use it. The double inhale followed by a long, unforced exhale is one of the most effective tools we have for regulating internal state, and what makes it remarkable is not just its simplicity, but the underlying biology that explains why it works so well. When the body is stressed or anxious, tiny air sacs in the lungs collapse, trapping carbon dioxide. This buildup sends strong signals to the brain that something is wrong, which amplifies the feeling of stress even if nothing in your environment is actually threatening. The double inhale counteracts this instantly. The first inhale fills the lungs. The second, shorter inhale pops open those partially collapsed air sacs, creating space for oxygen to enter and carbon dioxide to leave. It's a physical reset, not a psychological one, which is why it works even when the mind feels overwhelmed. As soon as you take that long exhale, the nervous system begins shifting toward a calmer state. Heart rate slows, the tension around your diaphragm releases, and the signals that normally escalate anxiety start to quiet down. It's not about ignoring what you're feeling. It's about giving your physiology a chance to catch up and create the conditions where the mind can think clearly again. That's a huge distinction, because people often try to regulate emotional states with thoughts alone, but thoughts are downstream of physiology. If your internal environment is chaotic, your thinking will reflect that chaos. This breathing pattern goes straight to the source. Another fascinating aspect is how quickly the body responds. You don't need minutes of practice or a structured routine. Often 1 or 2 cycles are enough to noticeably shift your internal state. That makes it incredibly practical, something you can use in real time in the middle of a stressful conversation, before making an important decision, or in those moments when the mind begins to spiral. It's a tool you can deploy quietly and instantly without anyone noticing, and it restores a sense of control when things feel like they're moving too fast. There's also a powerful mental effect that accompanies this physiological shift. When you use this method, you're not just calming your body, you're teaching your brain that it does not need to react to every internal surge of stress. Over time, this builds emotional resilience. The nervous system becomes less sensitive, less easily triggered, more capable of returning to baseline. You start to experience a wider gap between stimulus and response, which is one of the clearest markers of emotional stability. The technique becomes more than a tool. It becomes a habit your body instinctively uses to maintain balance. What I find most compelling is that this pattern reflects something the body already does on its own. Humans naturally perform a version of this double inhale when crying or after moments of intense stress. The body instinctively knows this is how it restores equilibrium. When we apply it intentionally, we tap into a built-in system designed to protect us from emotional overload and cognitive distortion. It's a way of communicating directly with the mechanisms that regulate stress, instead of trying to think our way out of a physiological problem. The double inhale followed by a long exhale is your fastest route back to calm. If today's session helped you understand your breath in a whole new way, if you felt that shift in clarity, calm, or control, then imagine what consistent science-backed tools can do for your entire life. That's exactly what we explore here, so if you found value in this breakdown, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next evidence-based tool to strengthen your mind, your body, and your performance. Thank you for being here. Take a deep breath and take control of your state. See you in the next session.